Okay, so I'm actually recording this for those who can't make the meeting. So it's 11 o'clock, and if we have one person on the call, that means we're ready to start, so we can honor your time and the rest of your Wednesday. So thank you for being on the call. This is kind of a call meeting, and it's one to honor the work that's being done by the Criminal Justice Committee and recognize what an amazing job you students are doing who are part of the Criminal Justice Committee. And when I say what an amazing job, obviously, as a committee, you all first hit the ground running last year when we did a kind of like a mock debate. Actually, it wasn't a mock debate, it was actually a debate. And if those remember, we were looking at the policies in Hillsborough County, Tampa city limits in particular, regarding the new marijuana ordinances and the, how that the policy was changing within the jurisdiction of Tampa, where if a person was found with a certain amount of marijuana, they moved away from just automatically arresting people and saying, okay, you know what, we're going to do a $75 fine for a first offense. Second offense, $150 fine. Third offense, $300. Obviously, with the laws changing across the country around marijuana and the movement to legalize it beyond medicine, but also legalize it for recreational use, it probably made sense for cities to start changing their laws as it relates to how people were being punished for having access to this drug that may still be considered illegal in some cities. Obviously, there are states like California, states like Colorado, that they have been aggressive in legalizing the possession and use of marijuana across many different platforms. With that said, even though Tampa was moving in that direction, and I'll give you some other background information at a later time regarding that, the sheriff of Hillsborough County said, look, if I catch you in my jurisdiction, i.e. there's the county jurisdiction and then there's the city jurisdiction. The city jurisdiction, of course, is the Tampa boundaries. Sometimes we kind of blur the lines between what is Tampa and what is not Tampa. Here are the places that are not Tampa. Temple Terrace, feels like Tampa, not Tampa. Plant City, well, it says city, so it's easy for us to know that that's not Tampa. Brandon, not Tampa. So these are jurisdictions that all still fall under the sheriff, right? Temple Terrace is blurred a little bit because they have their own police department, but the bottom line is the sheriff, who's over all of Hillsborough County, was not saying, I'm not going to honor this. This is not my policy. This is something between the city council and the mayor and the Tampa Police Department. So for us, we saw that as, so what is that going to mean? Like, what if you stay in Grant Park, where there's a shared boundary between Hillsborough County and TPD because it's, the city line is right there. And the students and the Criminal Justice Committee began to debate that. And at that time, we had the candidate for the state prosecutor for Hillsborough County. What's his name? Warren. I just lost his name. Are you on the call, James? Okay, he's like here and not here at the same time. Get on the call. All right, he's participating, but I think he's trying. You trying to log in? You can log in straight from your Group Me notice. There's like an icon if you download it to your phone. But if you okay, okay. So if you look at that debate, Andrew Warren was then running for state prosecutor. He came in as a lawyer and observed the debate between both sides. One side said they were in favor of having a change in the policy. Another side said, hey, you know what? We don't believe that that there should be a loosening of the law, so to speak, or lightening of the sentences. And I believe it's safe to say both sides were really arguing the point for the purpose of a healthy discussion. I don't think our youth council was divided, but maybe it is time for us to come back and have that discussion within the Criminal Justice Committee and within the organization as a whole. What was interesting is that I believe at that time, the team that won was a team that said they were in favor of loosening of the law. attorney, well, not attorney, but yes, the attorney Warren, Andrew Warren. Uh, is it Andrew Warren? Am I saying that right? Yeah, Andrew Warren. He actually agreed and supported that that side was the one that actually did the better debate. And he also said he agreed with that policy. Why is that interesting? Because the attorney who we all had viewing the Criminal Justice Committee is now the state prosecutor for Hillsborough County. And he's developed a healthy relationship with the youth council. He said whenever we need him, we should call upon him, which is why we're having this meeting here. Now that the youth council and the community Criminal Justice Committee has been very good at building a committee that is averaging at least 4 people, maybe 5, but at least 4 people every court case over the past, I think, month and maybe 5 sessions complete, maybe 2 months and about 5 teen court cases. There has been a healthy attention placed on the committee as a whole by the teen court people themselves. And the young lady who is over that particular arm of juvenile justice is very interested in your input. Not only is she interested in your input, but we've talked to her about developing an official relationship with them where students can be recommended to serve their community hours by coming to NAACP meetings and possibly sitting in and being a part of what we do, which can help us grow our membership. Not only will it grow our membership, but I think the organization will be stronger as an advisor if we don't just have the youth who are staying out of trouble. If we had a few youth who found themselves in trouble, who want to get back on track, but who can also speak to why are young people making these decisions? Why are young people finding themselves in the system in the first place? They can help us as an organization stay relevant to not just prevention, but also relevant to intervention. So with this meeting, I wanted to first compliment the Criminal Justice Committee for doing an amazing job. And I wanted to compliment obviously James is over the Criminal Justice Committee, and I think he's attended every meeting. And so even though I give him a hard time behind closed doors, I guess I should publicly at least acknowledge that he's doing a good job with that particular committee. But at the same time, I really think that he would agree that those students who have shown up and supported this from the onset have done a great job. And I just want to thank Charlay, who has been very faithful in attending. Yesterday, she teamed up with James and being an attorney. And if you saw the post on GroupMe, they did an outstanding job. I think James did a great job in examining the defendant, and then being able to do a re-examine after the cross-examination by the prosecution. But Charlay, for it being her first time being there, she had an outstanding opening statement. I thought she was very clean. I thought she was very concise. And I thought she was very convincing that, hey, we're going to present a case that you're going to find it really easy to see that our side of the case, bottom line. So for those of you who are on the committee, great job. Amaria has been there. Amaria is one of the new members. I believe last meeting was her first youth council meeting. And Amaria actually brought somebody to the meeting. We don't have Albert because Albert is now planning to move to Jacksonville. But Albert has been faithful. Cameron has been faithful in attending. Jalen, who's out of town, has been a faithful in attending. And Destiny, did you get a chance to sit on one meeting?
I've never been to one of the teen court meetings.
Never. Okay, wow. But that's no. You were at the school board meeting.
Yeah.
So I want to thank all of you all who have at least attended one, and thank those who try to make it a regular appointment for them. Devin, who hopefully will be joining us, he's been a part of this as well. So the Criminal Justice Committee is doing very well. So here's the thing that I wanted to point to you all. I'm trying to blur the lines when possible, but I can't suggest this in a meeting. I need you all to suggest it if you agree with it. This is your youth council. But I want to see where membership is actually a part of everything that we do in every committee. James did a good job because one of the other students, who I think this was his 3rd time being on the court, James Christian, he had this guy on his team with Charlay as the defense. And James decided, you know what, I'm going to reach out to this guy and ask him if he knows anything about the NAACP. And from there, JC, how did the conversation move forward? You got to unmute your thing. Tap your screen, and you'll see the mute button at the bottom. You'll see like a little mic.
Can you hear me
there
now?
You go. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so what was the question?
Finish. Tell what happened when you interviewed the guy. I mean, not the guy, but the other defense attorney, when you asked him, do you know anything about the NAACP? And then what happened from there?
Oh, yeah, he was just like, who doesn't know about the NAACP? And that was funny. That was funny that he asked that, because most people don't.
A lot of people your age, who are everybody who's a part of youth council, we're now looking at a generation that there's some people who don't know about the NAACP.
But what he definitely did not know about was the youth council. And I invited to join him. I mean, I invited him to join it, and he was excited to. So that's interesting. And he's really a aware person. For instance, what I also didn't share with my father is he actually knew about the Robert E. Lee case too. And he and the one thing that he does, which is, I mean, that's on him, but one thing that he does, he goes on the internet and searches what's going on locally just for fun. Like, he'll just go on the news locally and search what's going on. So that's how he knew about the Robert E. Lee thing anyway.
Awesome.
But yeah, so he's very aware. So I think he's going to be very good for the youth council.
So this is what brings me to this point. And I believe that we may be in a great position to create an event, and it can be a fundraiser as well. Now, the main thing is for it to be a membership drive, and we have to move really fast if we want to do this before we go to nationals, right? Now, our report is already going to be in place before nationals as far as, our membership. So really, any membership drive we're doing now is for the state convention in September, right? And we want to hit September state convention really strong. So the idea is, and James, I'm bringing this back to you as the chair, because before you were elected president, you had this idea of doing a mock trial. And at that time, I think it was kind of ambitious just because your group, your team wasn't as big yet as a chairperson.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, for those who've attended, and some of you all are watching this video after the fact because we recorded it, but for those who are attending the teen court, I think you guys are now in a position to put on a mock trial. I think you guys are in a position to not only put on a mock trial, but I think you all are in a position to actually put that mock trial on display for the community, with the idea that young people are invited out from other organizations to be the jury.
Right.
And if you do that, one, we encourage them to be the jury just like you all have been, because if you've attended teen court, it's pretty easy. They throw you in the fire. You come there, your first day there, you can possibly be on a jury. Now, usually they encourage you to ask questions or observe, and others may ask questions. A lot of times the kids may be a little nervous, but I think that the model that you all have been exposed to in teen court, it begs the opportunity for you all to say, hey, you know what, let's just coordinate a mock trial. And let's coordinate a mock trial based on maybe some past cases, of which I think that we can ask the people at teen court, can you give us some information on some past cases that have already taken place? We'll change the names, right? And then we will actually allow the people who are acting as the defendant to just study the case intently. I think actually one of the seasoned members who've been attending these cases would be probably a really good defendant, because they'll know the temperament of the people who are usually in that role. But the idea is, if we reached out to the various sororities, if we reached out to PACE, if we reached out to the Brooks, the Bartolo, not Brooks to Bartolo, but the Derrick Brooks Foundation, all the different people who have youth organizations, and invite them to send at least 3 students, right? At least 3. We want them to send more, but if they can send at least 3 to be representatives of this whole process, then a couple of things happen. One, we now have a way of recruiting members from that pool, which is my goal as far as a membership drive. But
Right.
2, you all will probably, in the process of demonstrating this mock trial, you'll be able to say to people, hey, guess what? And we do this every Tuesday. And we're doing this every Tuesday throughout the summer, and we're going to be doing it throughout the school year as well.
You said do the mock trial every Tuesday?
No. You'll be using the mock trial that you're doing to say we do this every Tuesday with the teen court. So now, because if you tell people, hey, y'all should join us with the teen court, they're not going to really picture it. But if you do a mock trial and then say, hey, join the NAACP, and then as part of the NAACP, we want you to either join our committee or at least visit one trial with our committee.
Question.
What do you think? Give me some feedback on the idea of a membership drive that also strengthens and supports what the Criminal Justice Committee is already doing an amazing job at.
I really like that, and I think this event could be used to sort of synthesize other committees as well. Because instantly, when you were talking about this and like retrying a trial that's already been like the verdict has already been given, I thought about the Philando Castile trial. And so potentially maybe we could do something a little bit more ambitious, a little bit more controversial, and then invite a diverse background of students so that it's what we would, I guess, say a fair trial. And the verdict would be whatever the jury thought it would be. And then maybe we could have our youth council people be some of the experts, and then they could talk about like the impact on like the social impact and educational impact on like being Black, I guess, like different stuff like that. That way we may have an opportunity to showcase different types of committees, but focusing on the Criminal Justice Committee with the event. I like it a lot.
Very good. Who else? What are you hearing? What are you thinking?
I agree that I think that could work, to be honest. I think that could work. Because is that Charlie?
I don't know.
Hey, Lele.
She's on here?
She was good until you said her name. She was good until you said her name. And then she turned off her video. That was so funny. All right. So you were saying
my train of thought.
You were saying that you thought that it could work. The idea of the membership drive.
I think that it's a good idea because it's easy to ask people to come out and be a jury.
So here's where it gets even better, right? I would like to do this before we go to nationals, but I also want to do it right. Now, to Mrs. Fields, we have an opportunity to do an event with Judge Mathis in August. So we're massaging that and working that. We could combine this with Judge Mathis, and I don't want to rob you of that consideration. But my gut feeling is, if we do this before we go to nationals, then we have a chance to not only grab people, get their attention based on the court concept, the teen court mock trial concept, but then we have an opportunity to do a follow-up event with Judge Mathis next month, which will make it seem like going into the school year, wow, they're doing it. They're getting on. How many people know who Judge Mathis is? First of all, let me rewind that.
I feel like, is it a TV judge?
Yeah,
that's him.
Okay. Cause I like this.
Okay. So do we combine it? I want you to decide, or do we try to, have one event in July and then another event with Judge Mathis?
I kind of like the two, because then we could also promote the second event with Judge Mathis as a bonus, I guess, of joining, or as an incentive to join. And my brain just went away. If I know the mayor has a youth council that they do, like the mayor's youth council, it already happened, but the sheriff has a Sheriff Rising Stars program that I was in, but it already happened. They just graduated, but they usually stay into contact. So I have possible connections with organizations that have youth councils that we talk to. I know that the libraries usually have like a teen council thing. I can't remember the name.
Yeah,
Um,
and they've actually been trying to get us to do something with them
yeah.
to increase, you know, their membership, and their whole goal, I believe, with the youth council is to increase youth using the library. However, when they brought that to our attention, I think they were really ambitious, like trying to meet once a week, and we didn't want to overwhelm our students who we're already trying to encourage them to be active. So.
Yeah.
But reaching out to them will be awesome. So here's the things that we want to consider. If we do this mock trial and we do it in July, we've moved our meetings to the third meeting in July. Do we want to do it on the same day in which we have our meeting? Maybe cut our meeting in half and have the mock trial following our meeting?
I think so. That way we have a sort of ensured attendance from our members, because if it's a day other than the one that they're already expecting to meet, it may be a little bit more difficult to get them there. So I think that'd be a good idea.
Charlie, JC, what do you think? Do we do it on the same day? So
I don't think so, because that's gonna drag it out to be over 3 hours long.
if we cut it in half, if we cut our meeting in half?
Oh, I didn't hear that part. So we cut that. So you're saying we cut the meeting. So then it's still like around 1 to 3.
Well, if you started at 1 and the meeting ends at 2, we can advertise to those who are coming to be there at 2, and we start the mock trial at 2. And if we go the traditional time length of, you know, what the teen court cases go, I think they're about probably 30 to 40 minutes long each case. And so that means that we'll be wrapping up around 2:40, but we want to have about probably 30 minutes of time to interact with those students and recruit them and have them fill out paperwork so that.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If we do a mock trial, the mock trials are going to be a lot longer, because you interview multiple witnesses. In regular court trials, we only have one witness. That's the defendant.
Okay.
So like we did the mock trial, if we did it in the style of a teen court, it would be less interesting, but it would be shorter.
Now, when you say it would be less interesting, the cool thing about, I think, the mock teen court trial is it may appear to be less interesting than your typical mock trial, where you have a classroom of students who are all getting an experience of being a part of just the whole trial. But in this case, we want the teen court mock trial, at least this is what I'm recommending. We want those students who come for the first time, along with those students who are part of the youth council who haven't been to teen court. We just want them to make up a jury. So the experience is going to be, even if it's just a teen court, is for the jury to be able to interact with each other, to discuss the case, to be able to comment on the case, and then if we do it right, even have a discussion about the case once it's over. I agree, a mock trial might be a little bit more interesting. However, if we just do the teen court model and we invite our guests to be on the jury where they're listening, they're taking notes, and they feel like they're part of making the decision of what happens with the student, I think it may appear to be just as interesting because they're participating in a way as a jury, and they even go in the back and deliberate and talk about the sanctions and all that kind of stuff.
And we may be able to, as another way to sort of incentivize attendance for other students and organizations, if they want to potentially be on either the prosecuting team or the defense team, we can accept, like, we can have like slots open, or like 2 students or 3 students that will accept. And so the quicker that somebody would register or like RSVP to attend, then then they would be able to do that. And then if they don't, then they'd be asked to go on the jury. So that way we can sort of not make it a competition, but make people feel an urgency to let us know whether or not they'll attend.
So I hadn't thought about that. If we open up attorney slots for prosecution or defense to the guests that we're inviting, I think that that might get the interest of some. However, how do we create uniformity as far as the understanding of the process and the flow of cases? Like those of you who've been to teen court, we can hand you the manual that you already use for teen court, and you'll automatically understand that manual. If
Right.
we email that or text that to someone in advance, do you think that they'll have the ability to follow the flow without the experience being more of an education process in how to do it? What do you think?
Can we either invite them to come to teen court like the week before or whenever they finish, or have like a deadline to be either the week before our event, and then if they attend, like, then they can have the slot, and if not, then somebody else who's already been to teen court from NAACP can just fill in. So that way they have
Okay.
to let us know at least a week in advance, and they have to attend teen court at least one time in order to see the way that the process works. And that way we could explain to them, like, face to face, the way that it works, so that they have both visual and audio and kinesthetic explanation of the process, maybe.
Charlie, what do you think?
I think she's left. Is she?
She's there. Oh,
Okay.
she was there. She may be her phone. She's there. Charlie, what do you think? Charlie, turn off your, oh no, your video's off. I think she's having a connection problem. Charlie, what do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
But what about what Destiny's suggesting about having, inviting those people who we're inviting for the first time to sign up if they want to be an attorney or be a prosecutor?
Okay.
I think that would be difficult, considering the fact that they would have to shadow first before actually knowing what they're doing, and it might be like a lot of moments where they might not know what's happening. Because I didn't yesterday, I was kind of confused. So to have to go through that whole entire process to teach them, they wouldn't really feel like an attorney. They would feel like a shadow.
Yeah, and not only that, Charlie has been to a lot of court cases.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the experience of watching cases all the time, it's still a lot to take in for the first time.
Maybe if I take what Destiny's saying and we look at the opportunity in this, then that means that we have to do 2 mocks. We do 1 mock trial, and we encourage people to be to join the committee, and we schedule the 2nd mock trial maybe like in October or in November.
Well, I like the idea of doing 2, but one having Judge Mathis. So I think if we have the one with Judge Mathis, then we should definitely let the students go and do the trial with. We should definitely let them be attorneys with Judge Mathis. But honestly, I still think that it's going to be pretty hard for them, because even when I was trying to do the mock trial at the beginning, what I was saying was I'm gonna have to actually coach each and every one of the attorneys so they actually know how I'm supposed to do it.
I think you and Charlie can do it, and I think if we can get this new member to join the NAACP, I think the 3 of you all may be able to break up the coaching into like maybe 3 different steps or whatever, and it'll be awesome because he can come to the meeting, or he can hit the ground on the committee running, which is one of the things we might want to start doing, is giving people something to do.
What I don't think you are realizing is that it really takes a long, for the mock trial to be good and interesting and like proper, it takes a really long time for the setup. The setup takes a really long time.
Well, this is what I'm thinking, because I'm not talking about a mock trial. I'm talking about a mock teen court.
Okay.
Because that doesn't take long. And the thing is, we're trying to create an environment where we can get our hands on a teen case. Destiny, I appreciate what you were saying about the Castile case, and I think that we want to. I don't want to abandon it. I want to come back to that in a second. But the idea of the teen court mock trial is a very simple process, and we're introducing youth to something that we want them to do on Tuesday. The other thing is, and join our committee to do. The other thing is that this is a membership drive. So we want to make sure it's simple, but we want to make sure that it's something where as soon as they get there, they can like understand what's going on. They can understand what we want them to do after this. So I don't want to equate it to what a mock trial is like in school, but more so we're recreating that teen court experience, which I think that you all can do a great job. I think that if you look at yourself, James, I think if you look at Charlay, I think if you look at Amaria, I think you have enough people who can create a defense and a prosecution. You and Charlay probably are going to be the two that will decide who's going to be prosecution, who's going to be defense, and then you all kind of set it up. And even though we're mimicking what happened at teen court, we're gonna create this experience where the prosecution and defense create the drama that's needed for people to appreciate a good trial. So it's not like you all are gonna be really competing. You all are gonna create a drama moment, a dramatic moment. But in creating the dramatic moment, you all are gonna know the outcome, but you're still gonna leave it up to the jury to decide. So the only ones who will really know exactly how this thing is supposed to end is really going to be the prosecution and the defense, and whoever we get as acting judge. My goal is to get one of the lawyers who's already a part of teen court, or even Andrew Warren, if I can tackle his schedule to be there, to be the actual judge during the case.
Question. Okay, sorry, interjection. So since you guys, Charlay and James, are saying that someone's understanding dictates their experience and the amount of times they've been in teen court, if we do the first mock trial where everybody can just be jurors other than the people who've been to mock court, then that's fine. And then so once they become members of the NAACP and they become members of the Criminal Justice Committee, if they want to be possible attorneys for the case where Judge Mathis may be the actual judge when we do the new trial, then they have to go to a certain amount of meetings. That way you know that they're getting the direct experience with it, and you know that they're going to the meetings, so your committee will still be healthy. So you'll have active members going to the meetings, learning, so you guys don't have to teach them as much. And then there's a prize at the end. The prize is being an attorney on a really cool case with a really cool judge.
With Judge Mathis. I like that. What do you guys think, Charlay, JC?
I don't know if that's gonna work unless they actually want that prize, because I think that the thing about the jury idea that made it a good idea is the fact that it's going to be short, and that people they'll probably just show up because they're gonna either have nothing to do or they want to support their friends coming. So I think that the best idea is to keep it, like, not make it a process for people who aren't already interested.
But what, Charlay, what do you think?
I was gonna say, I don't mind the idea, but what I was gonna say earlier was if they really want to be an attorney, maybe we can have like an orientation, like an hour or 2 hours ahead of time to kind of like give them a brief summary of what they have to do. Cause that's basically what I got. And then, I don't know, and then we'll try to, after the first major one, we could try to see how they do. But at the same time, I don't know how that would work out because everybody learns differently. But what Destiny's suggesting with going to the teen court and everything, that's kind of a long process. But if they do go, they'll actually get real experience with other people. So it's just based off of how y'all want them to learn. We can have it the 2 or 1 hours earlier, or we can have them go to teen court.
Well, can I have clarification? In my mind, the way that I'm framing this is that we're going to have 2 mock trials. The first one where we invite students from other organizations. And the reason why you guys said no to them being attorneys on that mock trial is because they wouldn't have the necessary experience and knowledge to be attorneys and be effective. So then they wouldn't. They would just be invited to be on the jury for that one. And then the second mock trial that would potentially take place in November or October, which is months from now, they would be able to go to the teen court, and they would have to go to teen court if they wanted to be an attorney for that mock trial. That way you guys don't have to teach them. You don't have to worry about them not understanding the process, because they would have been attending teen court anyway, so they would know what it is. And then you guys can discern who gets chosen as an attorney and whatever way you want to do it. But that way you wouldn't have to worry about teaching people how to be an attorney. They would go to teen court, which you need for your community to be healthy, and like that. That way you don't have to worry about the time frame. But I actually have to go. So I'm going to come back and I'll look at the recording to see what you guys think. So thank you.
And by the way, Judge Mathis is coming September 2nd.
Invite him again and be like, hey, can you come again? Okay, I'm leaving for real. Bye.
All right. So I think I hear what Charlie is saying, which makes sense. I think, JC, the September 2nd timeline that you were aware of, that she was not aware of, possibly does change those dynamics a little bit. And if the concern is for you and Charlie, that the amount of time and making this kind of a requirement, I like the fact that as president and vice president, you both are trying to be realistic. However, I think inherently in what Destiny is saying is that for those who want to be an attorney, like, you all can automatically just be the attorneys again. But if somebody wants to be an attorney, you know, don't make it easy. Say, hey, show up to the mock trial. I mean, not the mock trial, but show up to teen court, observe some things. Let us see a commitment from you guys, because when we do it with Judge Mathis, we also have a chance to do it in front of the whole community, because we can invite more community people out. So at that point, we want our A game to be on anyway. And if somebody wants to participate, we want to give them a chance. So I think I hear you all. I think maybe you all can chew on that Judge Mathis event a little bit more as a committee, and then come away with what you think is best. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I thank you all for participating in this meeting. If this is something you definitely want to do, then JC, you're going to have to call an emergency meeting, or so that you all can make some decisions on putting this on the July calendar, so that people can be ready and equipped. The beautiful thing is, you and the vice president can say that your committee is doing this, and you can ask for your committee to be able to do this following the meeting, and it doesn't really require a vote, so to speak, because your committee is putting this on. And unless it costs money, there's really nothing to vote on. But I still would call an emergency meeting to make sure that everybody's on the same page about this, and we can discuss more details if this is something y'all definitely want to do.
Quick question. So you said that we don't have to, you said that we don't have to vote on it if it doesn't cost money?
Anytime you vote or make a motion on something, it's usually when you're establishing an official action item for the whole organization, not a committee, but the whole organization. So for example, when you went to the school board, you represented the whole organization. So that was something you all needed to vote in the sense that you all were really taking on this thing as a case.
All right.
But if it's a committee activity, or if it costs money, I mean, if it's a committee activity, you don't have to vote. But if it costs money, you can't spend money unless the organization is voting.
All right.
All right. Charlie, you got anything you want to add?
No.
All right. All right. Since I've got you on the phone, I'm going to bring this criminal justice piece to a close. I'm going to be contacting teen court and the juvenile justice department a little bit more. They're interested in finding out more about this legislative opportunity you all have with Tammy Chamberger, and we want to reach out to her as soon as possible to find out what the next step is. But there may be an opportunity to blur the lines between the legislation as it relates to the school system and as it relates to juvenile justice. You might say, nah, let's keep that separate. Or you might say, hey, can we write two pieces of legislation? One only about juvenile justice in the school system, because you all can say, hey, wait a minute, we're tired of the schools arresting people. Why can't the school officials just be school officials and not call the police? Right? You can try to pass some legislation and set some parameters around that. Or you can say, let's focus another piece of legislation only on education, right? So you can decide, what you want to look at, but we're going to have to call Tammy and ask her what the timeline is on. I shouldn't say Tammy, but Mrs. Schomburger, and find out from her what the timeline is as it relates to that opportunity that has been created by Representative Sean Shaw for our district. So if you can, I'm going to close this out. So for those of you who are watching the video, thank you for participating in the Criminal Justice Committee quick call meeting, and go ahead and continue to support all the committees, and hopefully if you're on another committee, you all will set up something like this pretty quickly for your committee. All right, good job.